The pregnancy test sat on my desk like a loaded gun. Positive. 2 pink lines that should have meant everything, except Carla didn't know I'd had a vasectomy 3 months ago. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I stared at those lines for what felt like hours, my coffee growing cold beside my keyboard. The numbers didn't lie. Neither did biology. This baby wasn't mine because it couldn't be mine. The vasectomy had been my secret insurance policy after the second failed IVF round drained our savings and Carla's sanity. I couldn't watch her go through that hell again, but I never told her. Guess we both had our secrets. My hands didn't shake as I set the test down. That surprised me. I'd always imagined this moment, the moment your world implodes, would come with tremors, tears, some physical manifestation of grief. Instead, I felt nothing. Just a cold, spreading numbness that started in my chest and worked its way outward until my fingertips felt like ice. The test had been in her purse. I'd found it this morning while looking for the car keys. She'd wrapped it in tissue, hidden it in the inside pocket like some precious artifact. The date on the wrapper said she'd bought it 2 days ago. 2 days she'd known and hadn't said a word. I pulled up my phone and opened the location tracker. Yeah, I know how that sounds. Controlling husband, invasion of privacy, all that. But 6 weeks ago, I'd noticed the distance between us growing, not the normal marriage drift. Something sharper, more deliberate. She'd started doing this thing where she'd turn her phone face down whenever I walked into the room, started taking calls in the car, started smiling at her screen in a way she hadn't smiled at me in years, so I'd installed the tracker. Sue me. The little blue dot sat at the Riverside Hotel downtown. She'd told me she was at a client meeting in the suburbs. The Riverside Hotel, for those unfamiliar, is where people go when they want to not be seen. No business meetings happen there, just the kind of meetings that end with rumpled sheets and guilt. I grabbed my jacket and headed for the door. My neighbor, Tom, was getting his mail as I walked to my car. "David, how's it going?" he called out, all suburban friendliness. "Great, Tom. Living the dream," I said, and meant every word of the irony. The drive downtown took 23 minutes. Traffic was light for a Thursday afternoon. I parked across from the hotel entrance where I had a clear view of the lobby. Then I waited. Waiting is a skill most people underestimate. It requires patience, focus, and the ability to sit with your darkest thoughts without flinching. At 4:17, Carla emerged. She wasn't alone. The man beside her was tall, athletic build, expensive suit. He touched the small of her back as they walked toward the parking garage. That casual intimacy of his hand on her body made something crack inside my chest, but I still didn't move. Just watched, documented, remembered. I recognized him. Brett Monroe, Carla's college boyfriend, the one she'd mentioned exactly twice in our 8 years of marriage. Once when we'd first started dating. I dated this guy Brett in college, total mistake. And once 3 years ago when she'd run into him at some conference. "Remember Brett? He's doing well in commercial real estate, married, 2 kids. Apparently, the 2 kids hadn't stopped him from putting one in my wife. I took photos, lots of them, the way he opened her car door, the way she laughed at something he said, the kiss before she got in her car. Not a peck, a real kiss, the kind that said this wasn't new, wasn't a mistake, wasn't a one-time thing. They drove off in separate directions. I followed Carla. She stopped at a coffee shop, went inside, came out with her usual, vanilla latte, extra shot. Normal. Everything about her was normal, like she hadn't just spent 2 hours in a hotel room with another man. Like she wasn't carrying his baby while living in my house, sleeping in my bed, planning a future built on lies. She got home before me. I'd taken the long way, needed time to think. When I walked in, She was in the kitchen making dinner. Pasta primavera, my favorite. "Hey, babe," she said, not looking up from the cutting board. "How was work?" "Same old," I said. "You?" "Client from hell, but I survived. Hungry?" I watched her dice tomatoes with practiced efficiency. Her wedding ring caught the light. 3/4 of a carat, princess cut. I'd saved for 6 months to buy that ring. She wore it every day, even apparently to screw her ex-boyfriend in a hotel downtown. "Starving," I said. Dinner was pleasant. She talked about her day, the fake day, the one where she'd actually been at a client meeting. I nodded in the right places, asked appropriate questions. She was good. I had to give her that. No tells, no nervous laughter, no avoiding eye contact. If I hadn't known the truth, I never would have suspected. After dinner, she curled up on the couch with her laptop. I sat beside her with my tablet, pretending to read. Really, I was thinking, planning, calculating every possible move and countermove like a chess game where I'd just discovered my opponent had been cheating for 20 turns. "David?" she said. I looked up. "Yeah?" "I love you." 3 words. Simple. Meaningless. Or maybe they meant something different now. Maybe love was just another lie people told themselves to justify betrayal. "Love you too," I said, and went back to my tablet. That night, after she fell asleep, I went into my office and opened my laptop. Started with her email. The password was my birthday, which would be funny if it wasn't so pathetic. Took me 40 minutes to find what I was looking for. She'd created a separate folder labeled Conference Materials. Inside were emails between her and Brett going back 7 weeks. The first one was innocent enough. "Hey Carla, great running into you last month. We should grab coffee sometime and catch up properly." By the 3rd email, they were making plans to meet. By the 10th, Brett was writing things like, "I never stopped thinking about you," and "Leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life." Carla's responses were cautious at first, then warmer, then explicit. By week 4, they were meeting twice a week at the Riverside Hotel. She documented everything like she was writing a diary for someone to find. Times, dates, feelings. In one email, she wrote, "I feel alive again. David's a good man, but he's not you. He never was." The last email, dated 2 days ago. "I'm pregnant. I know it's yours. The timing matches. I don't know what to do yet. But I needed you to know. This changes everything." Brett's response. "Are you sure it's mine? What about David?" Carla. "David can't have kids. We've tried IVF twice. Failed both times. The doctors said his sperm count was too low. This is definitely yours." That was the first lie that actually stung. My sperm count had been fine. It was Carla who'd had the fertility issues. Endometriosis that made conception difficult. We'd never discussed it openly because she'd been so devastated by the diagnosis. I'd let her blame the failures on us rather than specify. And now, she was rewriting history to justify her affair. I printed everything, saved it to 3 different cloud accounts. Then I opened a new browser window and searched for divorce attorneys. The attorney's office smelled like leather and old books. Margaret Chen, sorry, I'll call her Margaret Sterling, came highly recommended. 58 years old, steel gray hair, reputation for being ruthless in family court. "Mr. Riley," she said, shaking my hand with a grip that could crack walnuts. "Please sit." I sat, placed the folder on her desk. I need a divorce, fast, clean, and in my favor. She opened the folder, started reading. Her expression never changed, but I saw her eyebrows lift once when she got to the pregnancy test photo. "You're certain the child isn't yours?" she asked. "Had a vasectomy 3 months ago. Never told her. She doesn't know." "That's going to be your ace in the hole," she said, still reading. "The adultery is clear. The emails are damning. The hotel records, the photos. You've documented this thoroughly. I'm a tech consultant. Documentation is what I do." She smiled. Barely. New York is a no-fault divorce state, but this level of evidence will help with asset division and any potential alimony claims. Given the circumstances, I don't see her getting much. How do you want to proceed? I want to file immediately, but I don't want her to know until everything's in place. No warning, no chance to hide assets or prepare. I can have the papers drawn up by Monday. We'll serve her at work. More witnesses, harder for her to make a scene. Perfect. We spent the next hour going over everything. Assets, debts, the house, retirement accounts. Carla made decent money as a marketing director. $78,000 a year to my 95. The house was in both names. No kids to complicate custody. Except for the one she was carrying that wasn't mine. What about the pregnancy? I asked. Not your problem, Margaret said. Biologically, legally, financially, not your responsibility. In fact, given the timeline and your medical procedure, you have a strong case that she committed fraud by attempting to pass off another man's child as yours. She hasn't actually done that yet. She doesn't know I know about the pregnancy. But she will. And when she does, she'll either tell you the truth or lie. Either way, you're protected. I left her office feeling lighter than I had in days. Not happy. Happiness seemed like a foreign concept now, but purposeful. I had a plan. Plans were good. Plans meant control, and control was the only thing keeping me from completely losing my mind. That weekend, I acted normal. We went to brunch. Carla ordered a mimosa, then changed her mind at the last second and got orange juice instead. I watched her place her hand on her stomach, a gesture so subtle I almost missed it. She was thinking about the baby. Brett's baby. Wondering what color eyes it would have, probably, if it would look like him. You okay? I asked. Yeah, fine. Just a little nauseous. Maybe you're coming down with something. Maybe. Sunday night she was on her laptop again. I walked past, glanced at the screen. Another email from Brett. I didn't need to read it to know what it said. They were planning something. Maybe he'd leave his wife and Carla would leave me and they'd run off into the sunset with their baby. Happy ending for everyone except the collateral damage. Monday morning, I kissed her goodbye at the door. Have a good day, I said. You too, babe. I drove to work, sat through 3 meetings, had lunch at my desk. At 2:30, Margaret texted, "Papers served, she's been notified." My phone rang 4 minutes later. Carla. I let it go to voicemail. She called again, and again. By the time I left work at 5, I had 12 missed calls and 8 text messages ranging from confused to angry to desperate. The text started with, "What the hell is this? Call me now," and ended with, "Please, David, just talk to me. We can work this out." I didn't respond to any of them. When I got home, her car was in the driveway. I found her in the living room, the divorce papers spread across the coffee table like evidence at a crime scene. Her eyes were red from crying. Mascara streaked down her cheeks. "David," she said, standing up. "What is this?" I set my briefcase down, took off my jacket. It's pretty self-explanatory. You're divorcing me? Without even talking to me? What's there to talk about? Everything. We can work on this, go to counseling, figure out what went wrong. I know what went wrong. She went very still. What does that mean? I pulled out my phone, opened the photo album I'd created specifically for this moment, showed her the pictures of her and Brett leaving the hotel. Her face went white. "How long have you been following me?" "Does it matter?" "David, I can explain." "Don't bother. I've read the emails, Carla, all of them. I know everything. How long it's been going on, where you meet, what you say to each other. I know you're pregnant. I know it's his." She collapsed back onto the couch like someone had cut her strings. "Oh, God. Yeah, oh, God. It just happened. We ran into each other, started talking, and you decided to start screwing him in a hotel twice a week for 2 months while coming home and pretending to be my wife. I never meant to hurt you." That almost made me laugh. "You never meant to hurt me?" What did you think would happen? I don't know. I wasn't thinking clearly. Brett and I, we have history, and when we reconnected, all these old feelings came back and… Stop. Just stop. I held up my hand. I don't need the justifications. I don't need the excuses. I need you to sign the papers and get out of my house. Our house. My house. Check the documents. I'm keeping it. You're keeping your car and your retirement account. Everything else gets split according to the prenup you insisted we sign. We had signed a prenup. Carla's parents had insisted on it. They'd come from money and didn't want their daughter getting taken advantage of. Ironic how that worked out. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know. Brett's place? I'm sure he'd love to play house with you and his bastard. She flinched. Don't call it that. Why not? That's what it is. A bastard child conceived while you were married to someone else. I'm sure your parents will be thrilled. You're being cruel. I'm being accurate. There's a difference. She started crying again. Those big gasping sobs that used to make me want to comfort her. Now they just made me tired. I need you out by the end of the week, I said. Take whatever you need. I'll be staying at a hotel until you're gone. David, please. Can't we at least try? No. That one word hung in the air between us like a door slamming shut. I grabbed my briefcase and walked toward the bedroom to pack a bag. I'm sorry, she called after me. I'm so sorry. I didn't respond. Sorry didn't fix anything. Sorry didn't rewind time or erase betrayal. Sorry was just another word people used when they got caught. I checked into a Hampton Inn 3 miles from our house. The room was generic, sterile, exactly what I needed. No memories here. No ghosts of a failed marriage lurking in the corners. Margaret called that evening. How did she take it? She asked. About as well as expected. Lots of crying, attempts at explanation. Did you engage? Briefly, then I left. Good. Maintain minimal contact from here on out. All communication should go through me. She'll try to manipulate you emotionally. Don't let her. Not a problem. But it was a problem. The next morning, Carla started texting. Long, rambling messages about how sorry she was, how confused she'd been, how the affair meant nothing. Then she switched tactics, started reminiscing about the good times. Remember our first date? Remember our wedding day? Remember when we adopted that rescue dog who passed away 2 years later? I remembered. I just didn't care. Wednesday, she tried a different approach. I'm keeping the baby. I know you don't want to hear this, but I'm going to be a mother. This is happening, I texted back. Congratulations. Send Brett my regards. She called immediately. I declined. She called again. I blocked her number. Thursday, Margaret informed me that Carla had hired an attorney. Some guy named Richard Phillips, who apparently had a reputation for being aggressive. He's already reached out, Margaret said. Wants to negotiate the settlement. Claims Carla is entitled to more than what you're offering. Based on what? 8 years of marriage, contribution to household income, emotional distress. Emotional distress? She's the one who cheated. Doesn't matter in a no-fault state. But we have leverage they don't know about yet. The vasectomy. Exactly. Let them make their demands. When the time is right, we'll drop that bomb and watch their case collapse. I liked Margaret. She thought like I did, strategically, without sentiment. Friday afternoon, I went back to the house to get more clothes. Carla's car was gone. Most of her stuff had been cleared out of the bedroom. The closet looked empty without her dresses. The bathroom counter was bare without her makeup scattered across it. Evidence of a life that no longer existed. I found a note on the kitchen counter. I'll be staying with my sister. Please don't do this. Please give us a chance. I love you. I crumpled the note and threw it away. That night, I did something I'm not proud of. I drove to Brett's house. Not to confront him. Not yet. Just to see. To understand what kind of man would sleep with another man's wife. He lived in a nice neighborhood. Better than mine. Big colonial with a 3-car garage, and professionally landscaped yard. There was a swing set in the back, visible through the fence. His kids, 2 of them, like Carla had mentioned. They were in the yard playing while Brett stood nearby, watching them. Normal suburban dad, probably coached their soccer team, probably helped with homework, probably kissed his wife goodbye every morning and came home every night for dinner, then spent his afternoons screwing my wife. His wife came out. Jennifer, I'd looked her up online. Blonde, attractive, smiled at Brett as she handed him something. Lemonade looked like. He kissed her cheek. She laughed at something he said. Picture-perfect family. I wondered if Jennifer knew. Probably not. Cheaters are good at compartmentalizing. One life over here, another life over there, never letting them touch. I took more photos, documented everything. You never knew what might be useful later. Monday morning I was back at work when Margaret called. We need to meet. Carla's attorney sent over a counter-proposal. And? She wants the house. Full value of the joint accounts, half your retirement, and alimony. Alimony? On what grounds? The argument is that she subordinated her career advancement to support your career, that she deserves compensation for that sacrifice. That's garbage. She never subordinated anything. I know. We'll fight it. But there's something else. I waited. She's claiming the baby is yours. My hand tightened on the phone. What? Her attorney included medical records showing the failed IVF attempts. They're arguing that despite those failures, she became pregnant naturally. They want you on the hook for child support. That's fraud. Yes, it is, which is why we're going to bury them. I'm calling their bluff. Tomorrow we're filing a motion to compel a paternity test. We'll also be submitting your medical records showing the vasectomy. This ends their case. Do it. There's something else you should know. Once we reveal the vasectomy, Carla will know you've been planning this, that you had the procedure and didn't tell her. She's going to be furious. Let her be furious. She lied first. Fair enough. I'll file the motion this afternoon. I hung up and stared at my computer screen without seeing it. The walls were closing in. Not on me. On Carla. Everything she'd tried to build on lies was crumbling, and I wasn't even halfway done yet. The motion for paternity testing hit like a grenade. Margaret called me 2 hours after filing it. Carla knows about the vasectomy, she said. Her attorney called. Apparently she's having a breakdown in his office. Good. David, I need to warn you. People do irrational things when they're cornered. Make sure you're documenting everything. Every interaction, every call, every text. If she tries to claim abuse or harassment, we need evidence to counter it. Understood. Carla didn't call me directly. Instead, her sister Rachel did. What the hell is wrong with you? Rachel screamed before I could even say hello. You got a vasectomy without telling her? What kind of husband does that? The kind whose wife is having an affair and trying to pass off her boyfriend's baby as his. Silence. Then, she told me it was a one-time mistake. It wasn't. 7 weeks, Rachel. Multiple hotels, hundreds of texts and emails. Want me to forward them to you? Jesus Christ. Yeah. She's pregnant, David. Pregnant and scared and not my problem. The baby isn't mine. Biologically, legally, or financially, not mine. If she wants to keep it, great. But I'm not paying for Brett's kid. You're heartless. I'm practical. There's a difference. She hung up on me. That afternoon, Carla violated the no-contact order. Showed up at my office building, tried to get past security. They called me before letting her up. Send her away, I told the security guard. She's saying it's an emergency. It's not. She's my ex-wife. We're in the middle of a divorce. She's not allowed to contact me. Got it. We'll escort her out. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I just wanted to explain, to make you understand, but you won't even let me try. You've become someone I don't recognize. I blocked the number. The paternity test was scheduled for the following week. In the meantime, Margaret had a different strategy. I want to depose Brett, she said during our next meeting. Get him on record about the affair. If he lies, we nail him for perjury. If he tells the truth, we have documented proof of alienation of affection. New York doesn't recognize alienation of affection. No, but Jennifer might find it interesting. His wife. I looked at her. You want to tell his wife? I want leverage. Right now, Brett's sitting comfortable. He got to have his affair. Carla's dealing with the consequences, and he's walking away clean. That's not fair. Plus, if Jennifer divorces him, he'll have his own financial mess to deal with. Might make him less likely to play happy family with Carla. Do it. You're sure? This is scorched earth territory. Burn it all down. She smiled. I like you, David. The deposition happened 3 days later. I wasn't allowed to attend, but Margaret recorded it and sent me the transcript. Brett showed up in a suit, looking nervous. His attorney, some corporate guy who clearly didn't do family law, tried to prep him, but Margaret tore through him like tissue paper. The relevant parts. Margaret. Mr. Monroe, do you know David Riley? Brett. I know of him. Margaret. How? Brett. He's married to Carla, or was married. I'm not sure of their current status. Margaret. And how do you know Carla Riley? Brett. We dated in college. Margaret. When was the last time you saw her? Brett. I'm not sure exactly. Margaret. Was it in the last 3 months? Brett's attorney. You don't have to answer that. Margaret. Actually, he does. We have hotel records, Mr. Monroe, credit card statements, text messages, lots and lots of text messages. So I'll ask again, when was the last time you saw Carla Riley? Brett. Last week. Margaret. In what context? Brett. We met for coffee. Margaret. Just coffee? Brett. We talked. Margaret. Did you have a sexual relationship with Mrs. Riley while she was married to David Riley? Silence for 37 seconds, according to the transcript. Brett. Yes. Margaret. How many times? Brett's attorney. This is harassment. Margaret. This is establishing facts for a divorce case where my client's wife is pregnant with someone else's child. How many times, Mr. Monroe? Brett. I don't know. Several. Margaret. More than 10? Brett. Yes. Margaret. Are you the father of the child Carla Riley is currently carrying? Brett. I might be. Margaret. Not might be, are you? Brett. Probably. Yes. Margaret. Does your wife know about the affair? Brett's attorney. Irrelevant. Margaret. Does she? Brett. No. Margaret. Would you like her to continue not knowing? Brett's attorney. We're done here. This is a threat. Margaret. It's a question, one Mr. Monroe should consider carefully. The deposition ended there, but the damage was done. Brett's admission under oath that he'd fathered Carla's baby made everything else moot. No court would order me to pay child support. No judge would rule in Carla's favor on any claim involving the pregnancy. That night, Margaret called again. I'm sending the deposition transcript to Jennifer Monroe tomorrow morning, along with the hotel records and a few select emails. Thought you should know. Think she'll divorce him? Wouldn't you? Yeah, I would. Get some sleep, David. This is almost over. But it wasn't over. Not even close. Jennifer Monroe filed for divorce on a Thursday. I know because Brett called me. Actually called me, somehow got my number, left a voicemail. You son of a witch, he said, voice shaking with rage. You destroyed my family. My kids are crying. My wife won't look at me, and for what? Revenge? You're pathetic. I saved the voicemail, sent it to Margaret. She called back within minutes. He's unraveling. Good. What happens now? Now we wait. He and Carla are about to discover that affairs are fun until they have to deal with real life. Let them crash and burn together. But Carla wasn't ready to burn quietly. On Friday, she posted on social media a long, detailed post about betrayal and abandonment. Didn't name me directly, but everyone who knew us could fill in the blanks. When someone you love refuses to even listen, she wrote, when they cut you off completely without giving you a chance to explain or apologize or make things right, it breaks something inside you. I made mistakes. I own that. But I'm also human. I deserved compassion. I deserved a conversation. Instead, I got lawyers and coldness and a man I don't recognize anymore. The post got hundreds of likes, dozens of supportive comments. You deserve better. He sounds like a narcissist. Stay strong, girl. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. Margaret did it for me. She had a private investigator contact 5 of Carla's closest friends. Showed them the evidence. The hotel records, the emails, the timeline. Within 24 hours, 3 of those friends had deleted their supportive comments. 2 of them posted their own messages. There are always 2 sides to every story. Make sure you know both before picking a side. Carla's post got deleted by Sunday. Monday morning, I got a call from her mother. David, Eleanor said. She'd always liked me, called me her favorite son-in-law even though I was her only son-in-law. I need to understand what happened. Did Carla tell you? She told me her version. I'd like to hear yours. So I told her. Everything. The affair, the pregnancy, the lies. I sent her the evidence. Let her read the emails where her daughter talked about being alive again with Brett, where she'd planned to pass off his baby as mine. Eleanor was quiet for a long time after I finished. I'm sorry, she finally said. I didn't raise her to be like this. I know. What do you need from me? Nothing. Just wanted you to know the truth. She's going to need help. The baby, the divorce, all of it. That's between you and her. I'm out. You were a good husband, David. Not good enough, apparently. She hung up. I never heard from her again. The paternity test results came back the following week. Conclusive. Brett was the father. Carla's attorney withdrew most of their claims. The settlement negotiations became simpler. I kept the house, my retirement account, and my car. She kept her retirement account, her car, and enough money to get an apartment. No alimony, no child support, clean break. The divorce was finalized 6 weeks after I'd filed. Fastest divorce in New York State history, according to Margaret. We didn't have to appear in court together. Everything was done through our attorneys. I signed the papers in Margaret's office on a Tuesday morning. By noon, I was single again. I should have felt relieved, maybe even happy. Instead, I felt nothing. Just that same cold numbness that had started the day I found the pregnancy test. Margaret walked me out to my car. What now? She asked. I don't know. Go back to work. Sell the house, probably. Start over. You could try dating. Meet someone new. Maybe eventually. She patted my shoulder. Awkward, but genuine. You did good, David. Not many people could have handled this as well as you did. Didn't really feel like I had a choice. You always have a choice. You chose not to fall apart. That counts for something. I drove home, my home now, nobody else's, and walked through the empty rooms. Carla had taken everything that mattered to her. Pictures off the walls, kitchen stuff, her books. What remained was mine by default. A half-empty house for a half-empty life. I poured a drink, sat on the couch, stared at nothing. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. I hope you're happy. You got everything you wanted. I deleted it without responding. 3 months passed. Fall turned to winter. I sold the house, got a good price, bought a condo downtown. Smaller, easier to manage. No memories. Work kept me busy. I took on extra projects, stayed late at the office. Anything to avoid the silence of my new place. The guys at work tried to set me up a few times. Blind dates, friendly dinners, a weekend trip to the mountains. I went through the motions but never followed up. Wasn't ready. maybe never would be. In December, I ran into Rachel at a coffee shop, Carla's sister. She saw me first, looked like she wanted to run, then steeled herself and walked over. "David," she said. "Rachel. How are you?" "Fine. You?" "Good. Listen, I owe you an apology. I said some things back when everything went down, things I shouldn't have said." "It's fine." "It's not fine. I didn't know the whole story. Carla told me her version, and I believed her because she's my sister. But after I saw the evidence, after I understood what really happened..." She trailed off. "You had every right to do what you did." "Thanks." "She had the baby, a boy, looks just like Brett." I didn't want to know this, but I nodded anyway. "Brett's not in the picture. He and Jennifer are divorced, but he got custody of his other kids. Jennifer made sure he wouldn't get anywhere near Carla or the baby. Something about being an unfit father, I don't know the details. So Carla's raising him alone. She moved back in with our parents." "That's rough." "Yeah." "Rachel studied me. She asks about you sometimes." "Don't tell me that." "Sorry, I just thought..." "I don't care what she asks. I don't care how she's doing. We're done, Rachel. Completely done." She nodded. "I understand. Take care of yourself, David." She left. I finished my coffee and tried not to think about Carla raising Brett's baby in her childhood bedroom while her parents watched their daughter's life fall apart. January brought a cold snap, record low temperatures. I bundled up, went to work, came home, repeated. A life on autopilot. Then, on a Wednesday afternoon, Brett showed up at my office. Security called. "There's a Brett Monroe here to see you. Says it's important." "Tell him to leave." "He's pretty insistent." "Tell him if he doesn't leave, I'll call the police." 5 minutes later, security called again. "He's gone, but he left something for you." I went downstairs. The guard handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter, handwritten on expensive stationery. "David. I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I have no right to ask you for anything, but I need you to understand something. What happened between Carla and me wasn't just an affair. We loved each other in college. Real love, the kind that should have led to marriage. But I was stupid. I chose someone else, someone my parents approved of, someone who fit the image of what my life was supposed to look like. I married Jennifer, had kids, built the perfect life, and I was miserable every single day. When I saw Carla again at that conference, everything came rushing back. All those feelings I'd buried for 15 years. I know that doesn't excuse what we did. I know we hurt you and Jennifer and our families. But I need you to know it wasn't casual. It wasn't just sex. I loved her. I still love her. Jennifer won't let me see my kids. She's turned them against me. My firm fired me, said the scandal was bad for business. I lost everything, and Carla won't talk to me. She blames me for everything that happened, says I ruined her life. I have a son I've never met, a boy who should know his father, and I can't get near him because of you. Because you destroyed my marriage, my career, everything. You wanted revenge, and you got it. Congratulations. But I'm asking you, man to man, to let this go. Carla and I could have a life together if you'd just stop sabotaging everything. She won't talk to me because she's scared of what you'll do next. Your lawyer, your investigators, your constant interference, it needs to stop. Let us move on. Please. Brett. I read the letter twice. Then I laughed. Actually laughed, standing there in the lobby of my office building while the security guard watched me like I'd lost my mind. Brett thought I was still actively ruining his life. Like I was sitting in my condo every night, plotting new ways to torture him. The truth was simpler and somehow more devastating. I'd forgotten he existed. Once the divorce was finalized, once Carla was out of my life, I'd moved on. I wasn't interfering with anything. His life had collapsed under its own weight. I pulled out my phone and called Margaret. I need you to send a cease and desist letter to Brett Monroe. What did he do? Showed up at my work. Left me a letter. I want it documented that he's to have no contact with me, ever. Consider it done. Anything else? No, that's it. I threw the letter in the trash on my way out. Spring arrived. The city thawed. I'd been single for 7 months. The wound where my marriage used to be had scabbed over, hardened into scar tissue. I didn't think about Carla anymore. When I did, it was distant, like remembering a movie I'd watched years ago. I started dating. Nothing serious. A woman named Lisa from my gym. We had coffee, went to dinner a few times, slept together once. It was fine. Everything was fine. She wanted more, called me, texted me, tried to make plans. I didn't ghost her, exactly. I just slowly withdrew until she got the message. Work promoted me. Senior consultant, bigger salary, more responsibility. I threw myself into it. 60-hour weeks, travel to client sites, anything to stay busy. Tom, my old neighbor, reached out, invited me to a barbecue. I'd sold the house, but we'd stayed in touch. When I showed up, half the old neighborhood was there. People I'd lived near for 8 years. They were polite, asked how I was doing, avoided mentioning Carla. Karen from 3 doors down cornered me by the grill. I heard what happened, she said. I'm sorry. Thanks. For what it's worth, we all thought you two were solid. Nobody saw it coming. Yeah, well, people are good at hiding things. She came by the old house last week. Your house. The new owners let her in, apparently. She wanted to see it one last time. Stood in the driveway crying. I didn't want to know this. Why are you telling me? I don't know. Thought you should know she's struggling. We're all struggling, Karen. That's life. I left early. Didn't need the neighborhood gossip or the pitying looks. June brought a heat wave. I was in my office when Margaret called. We hadn't spoken in months. David, I have news. Thought you'd want to hear it directly from me. What kind of news? Brett Monroe filed for bankruptcy, lost his house, his cars, everything. He's living in a studio apartment and working at a retail store. His ex-wife is getting most of his income for child support. Okay. And Carla's struggling. Her parents cut her off financially. Said she made her bed, now she has to lie in it. She's working 2 jobs to afford her apartment and daycare. From what I understand, it's not going well. Why are you telling me this? Because some people might feel guilty. Might wonder if they went too far. I wanted you to know that you didn't do this to them. They did it to themselves. You just didn't let them get away with it. I don't feel guilty. Good. You shouldn't. After she hung up, I sat there thinking about what she'd said. Brett working retail. Carla exhausted from 2 jobs, raising a baby alone. Their affair had cost them everything. Their marriages, their families, their financial stability. And I'd played a role in that. Not the cause, but certainly an accelerant. Did I feel guilty? No. I felt satisfied. They'd gambled with other people's lives and lost. That was justice, not cruelty. I went home that night and opened a bottle of wine I'd been saving. A 2015 Cabernet Sauvignon that Carla and I had bought on our honeymoon. Kept it in the cellar, planned to drink it on our 10th anniversary. I drank it alone, sitting on my balcony, watching the city lights flicker in the distance. It tasted expensive, rich, complex, everything I'd imagined it would be. When the bottle was empty, I threw it in the recycling and went to bed. August, 1 year since I'd found the pregnancy test. I'd started seeing someone new, Amanda, a graphic designer I'd met at a work conference. She was funny, sharp, had her own baggage from a previous relationship. We understood each other, kept things light, no talk of moving in together or meeting families. Just 2 damaged people enjoying each other's company. We were at a restaurant downtown when I saw her. Carla. She was with a woman I didn't recognize, sitting 2 tables away. She looked different, thinner, tired. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, no makeup. She wore jeans and a t-shirt, clothes she would have called running errands clothes back when we were married. She saw me at the same moment I saw her. Our eyes met. held. She looked like she might cry, might get up and leave, might come over. Instead, she just stared. Amanda noticed. "You okay?" "Yeah, that's my ex-wife." "Oh, do you want to leave?" "No, we're staying." We finished our meal. The whole time I felt Carla's eyes on me, watching me laugh with Amanda, watching me be okay without her. When the check came, I paid and stood up. Carla stood up at the same time. "David," she said, walking over before I could leave. "Can we talk? Just for a minute?" Amanda looked at me. I nodded. "I'll meet you outside." She squeezed my hand and left. Carla and I stood there, facing each other in a restaurant where other people were eating and laughing and living normal lives. "You look good," she said. "Thanks. Is that your girlfriend?" "That's not your business." "Right, sorry." She twisted her hands together. Nervous habit she'd had since college, probably. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry, really sorry, for everything." "Okay. Okay, that's it? What do you want from me, Carla?" "I don't know. Forgiveness, maybe? Some sign that you don't hate me?" "I don't hate you. I don't feel anything about you." She flinched like I'd slapped her. "That's worse." "Is it? I think it's healthier. Hate would mean you still matter. You don't." "I was pregnant and scared and alone." "You were pregnant because you had an affair. You were scared because you got caught. You were alone because you made choices that isolated you. None of that is my fault or my problem." I know it's my fault. All of it. I thought maybe enough time had passed that we could talk. Really talk. "There's nothing to talk about. We're divorced. You have a kid with another man. I have a new life. That's the end of the story." "How do you do it?" Her voice cracked. "How do you just move on like none of it mattered?" "It mattered. It just doesn't anymore." She wiped her eyes. "I'm struggling, David. Really struggling. The baby cries all night. I work 2 jobs and I'm still behind on rent. My parents won't help me. Brett won't even acknowledge his son exists. I'm drowning. Then swim." "What?" "Swim. Figure it out. That's what adults do when life gets hard. You wanted Brett. You wanted the baby. Now you have those things. Deal with the consequences." "You're cruel." "I'm honest. There's a difference." I started to walk away. She grabbed my arm. "Please, I need help. Just a little bit. A loan, maybe, or child support. You were my husband." I pulled my arm free. "I was never the father. Biologically, legally, or financially, that baby is not mine. Brett owes you child support. Go after him." "He doesn't have anything. He's broke. Then get a 3rd job, or move back in with your parents, or apply for assistance. I don't care what you do, but you don't get to make me responsible for your mistakes." "How can you be so cold? How can you be so delusional? You destroyed our marriage. You tried to commit fraud. You hurt everyone around you chasing some fantasy with your college boyfriend. And now you want me to rescue you? That's not cold, Carla. That's self-preservation." She stood there, tears running down her face, looking small and broken. Part of me, a very small part, felt sorry for her. The rest of me remembered every lie, every hotel receipt, every email where she'd talked about being alive again with someone who wasn't me. "Goodbye, Carla," I said, and walked out. Amanda was waiting by the car. "That looked intense," she said. "She wanted money." "Seriously?" "Seriously. Said she's struggling." "What did you tell her?" "I told her no." Amanda studied me. "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm good." And I was. Better than good. Seeing Carla struggling, seeing the consequences of her choices written on her face, it didn't make me happy exactly. But it brought closure. Final proof that I'd made the right decision, that walking away had been the only move. We drove back to my place. Amanda stayed over. We had Zex, fell asleep tangled together. In the morning, she made coffee and we sat on the balcony watching the city wake up. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Sure." "Do you think you'll ever trust someone again?" Really trust them? I thought about it. I don't know, maybe. With time. I hope so. You deserve that. So do you. She smiled. We're a pair, aren't we? Walking wounded, trying to figure out how to be normal. Normal's overrated. True. We sat there in comfortable silence. No promises, no expectations. Just two people who'd survived their own disasters, learning how to be okay again. October arrived. Leaves changed colors, temperatures dropped. I'd been divorced for over a year. Amanda and I were still seeing each other. Nothing serious, but steady, comfortable. She'd met some of my friends. I'd met hers. We talked about maybe taking a trip together. Maybe. Then Margaret called. We have a situation, she said. What kind of situation? Carla's attorney filed a motion. She's suing you for compensation related to the IVF treatments. Claims you knew about your fertility issues and didn't disclose them, causing her emotional and financial harm. That's insane. The fertility issues were hers, not mine. And I paid for half those treatments. I know, it's a desperate move. Her attorney knows it won't hold up, but they're trying anyway. Probably hoping you'll settle just to make it go away. I'm not settling. Good. We'll fight it. But you need to prepare for this to get ugly. She's going to make accusations, claim you were controlling, manipulative, that you sabotaged her chances at motherhood. None of it's true, but it's going to be public. Let her try. The hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks later. In the meantime, Carla went public. Posted on social media about her abusive ex-husband, who'd stolen her chance at motherhood. Gave interviews to a local blogger who specialized in women's issues. Painted herself as the victim of a cruel man who'd controlled and manipulated her. The post went viral, thousands of shares, comments calling me everything from a sociopath to a monster. My name was out there, attached to accusations I couldn't immediately refute without violating legal protocols. Work called me in. HR wanted to discuss the situation. I brought Margaret. These are serious allegations, the HR director said. We need to understand what's happening. Margaret handed over a folder. Everything you need to know is in there. Medical records proving David's vasectomy occurred after the affair began. Hotel receipts documenting Mrs. Riley's infidelity. Emails between her and her affair partner. Text messages. The deposition where the affair partner admitted paternity. David didn't steal anyone's chance at motherhood. He removed himself from a fraudulent situation. The HR director read through everything. Looked up. This is very different from what's being reported. That's because Mrs. Riley is lying, Margaret said. She's desperate for money and she's weaponizing public opinion to pressure David into a settlement. It won't work. We'll need to release a statement, the director said. No, I said. Don't engage. It'll blow over. David, trust me, once the hearing happens, once the truth comes out in court, the narrative will flip. Until then, anything we say just adds fuel to the fire. They reluctantly agreed. The harassment started that night. Messages to my work email, my personal email, my social media accounts. Strangers calling me a monster, threatening me, digging into my past, looking for dirt. Someone found my address and posted it online. I had to hire private security. Amanda came over. This is insane. Can't you sue her? Eventually. Right now, we focus on winning the hearing. She's destroying your reputation. Let her try. The truth always comes out. The night before the hearing, I couldn't sleep. Lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. A pregnancy test I'd found a year ago. A marriage that had been rotting from the inside while I'd been oblivious. Choices Carla had made that had cascaded into this disaster. Part of me wondered if I should have just paid her off, given her some money to make this go away. But that would have been admitting I'd done something wrong, and I hadn't. I'd protected myself from fraud. That was it. The hearing started at 9. The courtroom was packed. Apparently, Carla had invited supporters, women who believed her story, who saw her as a victim of abuse. They glared at me as I walked in with Margaret. Carla sat at the plaintiff's table looking fragile and sympathetic. She'd dressed carefully, modest clothes, minimal makeup, hair pulled back, playing the part of the wounded woman. The judge entered. Everyone stood. "We're here regarding Riley vs. Riley," the judge said. "Mrs. Riley is seeking compensation for emotional distress and financial damages related to fertility treatments. Mr. Riley disputes these claims. Counselors, present your cases." Carla's attorney went first. Painted a picture of a controlling husband who'd manipulated his wife, hidden medical information, and destroyed her dreams of motherhood. Showed the IVF bills, $38,000 over 2 treatments. Showed therapy bills from after the divorce. Made it sound like I'd systematically destroyed Carla's life. Then it was Margaret's turn. She stood up, opened her briefcase, and pulled out a thick folder. "Your Honor, this case is based on a fundamental lie. Mrs. Riley claims Mr. Riley hid fertility issues and sabotaged her chance at motherhood. The truth is very different." She presented the medical records. Mine and Carla's. Highlighted the endometriosis diagnosis that had caused the fertility issues. Showed that my sperm count had been normal during both IVF attempts. The treatments failed because of Mrs. Riley's medical condition, not Mr. Riley's. He paid for half of those treatments despite knowing they had a low chance of success. He supported his wife through an emotionally devastating process. And then she had an affair. Margaret laid out the hotel receipts, the emails, the text messages, built a timeline showing that the affair had lasted 7 weeks before I discovered it. During this affair, Mrs. Riley became pregnant with another man's child. She then attempted to pass that child off as Mr. Riley's. When he discovered this fraud, he filed for divorce. That's when he had a vasectomy, not before the IVF treatments, but after he discovered the affair. Mrs. Riley is attempting to rewrite history to cast herself as a victim. The judge looked at Carla. "Is this accurate?" Carla's attorney whispered something to her. She nodded, reluctantly. "Mrs. Riley, did you have an affair while married to Mr. Riley?" "Yes, but—" "Did you become pregnant with another man's child?" "Yes, but it's more complicated. Did you attempt to claim Mr. Riley was the father?" Silence. "Mrs. Riley, answer the question." "I thought he might be. The timing—" "You knew," Margaret interrupted. "You knew from the dates. You knew from your own medical records. You knew because you'd been tracking your cycle for the IVF treatments. You knew exactly when you conceived, and you knew it wasn't with your husband." The courtroom was silent. Everyone watching, waiting. The judge leaned back. "I've heard enough. Mrs. Riley, your claim is denied. Furthermore, I'm ordering you to pay Mr. Riley's legal fees for this hearing. You've wasted this court's time with a frivolous lawsuit based on demonstrable falsehoods. This case is dismissed." The gavel came down. Carla started crying. Her supporters looked confused, whispering among themselves. The blogger who'd interviewed her was frantically typing on her phone. Margaret leaned over. "It's done." "Yeah." We walked out of the courtroom. Media was waiting outside. Word had spread about the viral story, and now they wanted the truth. Margaret gave a brief statement, summarized the facts, made it clear that I'd been the victim of infidelity and fraud, not the perpetrator. By that evening, the narrative had flipped. The same people who'd called me a monster were now apologizing. Carla's post was deleted. The interview was taken down. She'd been exposed as a liar, and public opinion had turned against her with the same ferocity it had turned against me. I didn't feel victorious, just tired, exhausted from a year of fighting, of defending myself, of constantly being on guard. Amanda picked me up from the courthouse. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Empty. That's normal, I think, after something like this." "Yeah." We drove to my place in silence. She made dinner while I sat on the couch, staring at nothing. My phone kept buzzing, messages from friends, colleagues, even old high school acquaintances who'd seen the news. Everyone wanted to congratulate me, to tell me I'd done the right thing. I turned my phone off. 3 months later, January again, the anniversary of my divorce. I was sitting in my office when the receptionist called. "David, there's someone here to see you. Says it's personal." "Who?" "Brett Monroe." I almost said to send him away. Then curiosity got the better of me. "Send him up." He looked worse than I'd imagined. Thin, worn down, clothes that had seen better days. He sat across from my desk and didn't meet my eyes. "I'm not here to cause trouble," he said. "Then why are you here?" "To apologize, and to tell you something you should know." "I'm listening." He took a breath. "Carla's planning to give the baby up for adoption. She can't handle it. Working constantly, no money, no support. She reached out to me last week, asking if I'd take him. I can't. Jennifer's remarried, moved on. I'm barely surviving myself. So Carla's going through an adoption agency." I didn't know what to say to that. "I know you don't care," Brett continued, "and I don't blame you. But I thought you should know. That baby, my son, is going to grow up with strangers because of what we did. That's not my fault. No. It's mine. And Carla's. We destroyed everything for a relationship that lasted 3 months before we couldn't stand each other. I lost my kids, my wife, my career. She lost her marriage, her reputation, her family. And now we're both losing this baby. All because we were selfish and stupid. Why are you telling me this?" "Because you were right. About everything. We deserved what happened to us. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry we dragged you into our disaster. You didn't deserve any of it." He stood up to leave, paused at the door. "For what it's worth, I hope you find happiness, real happiness, the kind Carla and I were chasing and never found." He left. I sat there for a long time, processing what he'd said. The baby, a little boy I'd never met, never wanted, never thought about, was being given up for adoption. Starting life with no parents, no family, just the aftermath of his biological parents' catastrophic choices. I should have felt something. Sympathy, maybe. Sadness for a kid who'd done nothing wrong but existed. Instead, I felt nothing. The same nothing I'd felt for a year. That protective numbness that had gotten me through the worst period of my life. I called Amanda. "You busy?" "Not particularly. What's up?" "Want to take that trip we talked about, maybe next month?" "Seriously?" "Yeah, I think I'm ready." "Where do you want to go?" "Anywhere that isn't here." She laughed. "I'll start looking at flights." That night, I went through my condo and removed the last traces of my old life. Photos I'd kept in a drawer, the wedding album I'd never opened, Carla's favorite mug that I'd somehow ended up with. Threw it all away. Every piece of evidence that I'd once been married, once believed in forever, once been naive enough to think betrayal only happened to other people. When I was done, my place looked sterile, clean, like a hotel room where nobody really lived. I'd fix that eventually. Add personality, warmth, signs of life. But not yet. For now, the emptiness felt right. I poured myself a drink and stood on the balcony. The city stretched out before me, millions of lights representing millions of lives. People falling in love and falling apart, getting married and getting divorced, having affairs and getting caught and dealing with the consequences. Somewhere out there, Carla was filling out adoption paperwork, signing away her son. Somewhere, Brett was working a retail shift, thinking about the family he'd destroyed. Somewhere, Jennifer was building a new life with someone who actually deserved her. And I was here, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. My phone buzzed. Text from Amanda. "Found some good flights to Portugal. Interested?" I typed back, "Book them." 3 dots appeared as she typed. Then, "Really?" "Really. Let's do it. Okay, this is exciting. New adventures. New adventures, I agreed. I set my phone down and looked out at the city one more time. Tomorrow I'd go back to work. Next month I'd go to Portugal with a woman who made me laugh and didn't ask for more than I could give. Next year, who knew? Maybe I'd be ready for something serious. Maybe not. Either way, I'd survived the worst betrayal of my life and come out the other side. Not unscathed, not undamaged, but intact. That was enough. I finished my drink, went inside, and closed the door on the past. Whatever came next, whatever complications or heartbreaks or unexpected joys, I'd handle them. Because that's what you did. You survived, you adapted, you moved forward, one day at a time, until the past stopped mattering and the future stopped looking quite so empty. I slept well that night. Dreamless, peaceful sleep. The first in over a year. When I woke up, sunlight was streaming through the windows. A new day, a clean slate. I got up, made coffee, and started planning my trip to Portugal. Life, it turned out, went on. With or without the people who'd broken you. With or without closure or revenge or justice. It just kept moving, pulling you along whether you were ready or not. And somewhere along the way, without noticing exactly when, I'd started moving with it instead of against it. That, I decided, was victory enough.